Ladies and gentlemen, let me break it down for you. Sometimes all it takes is one question. Just one. You don't need to go through her messages. You don't need to hack into her accounts. You don't need to hire no private investigator. Nah. What you need is clarity. And clarity don't come from snooping. It comes from asking the right question. See, when you're in a relationship and something just don't feel right, her vibe off, she starts being distant, her habits changed, that's your gut talking. And let me tell you something about your gut. It ain't never lied to you. Now listen to this. Here's the question. Ask her, straight up, if I had your phone for 24 hours, would anything on it break my heart? That question right there, that ain't no accusation. That ain't saying she's guilty. That's just putting the truth on the table and letting it breathe. See, when a woman is loyal, when she's truly invested, truly riding with you, that question don't scare her. That question don't shake her. In fact, she gonna look you in the eye and say, no, you can check whatever you want. Because loyalty ain't scared of being checked. But if she start talking about privacy, start flipping the script on you, asking why you don't trust her, man, you already got your answer. Look, I'm not saying every woman who doesn't want to hand over her phone is cheating, but I am saying that when you ask a question like that, how she responds tells you everything. It's not about the words she says, it's about the energy behind it. Because people lie, but energy don't. Energy never lies. If she gets mad, instead of understanding where you're coming from, if she tries to dodge the question, change the subject, or laugh it off, that's not confidence, that's discomfort. And discomfort don't come from nowhere. I've been around long enough to know when somebody's hiding something, they get real creative. Suddenly their phone always on silent, always face down. They never leave it unattended. And the second they see you walking over, they snatch it up like it's the launch codes. Come on now. That's not normal. That's not healthy. In a real relationship, there's transparency. Ain't nobody hiding nothing if everything is real. Ain't nobody afraid of question unless the answer ain't clean. See, the power of the right question is that it makes a person confront themselves. That one question don't just put them on the spot. It puts the truth in the spotlight. It ain't even about the phone. It's about accountability. It's about honesty. It's about seeing if the person you're with is willing to be open with you or if they're only loyal when you're not looking. Some of y'all are out here in relationships where you giving 100% and you getting maybe 40 back. What's crazy? You feel it. You know something's off, but you keep ignoring it because you don't want to rock the boat. Let me tell you something. If the boat ain't solid, it needs to be rocked. This question, it ain't about being insecure. It's about being aware. It's about protecting your peace. You got a right to know whether the person you lay next to every night is really for you or just with you until something better shows up. And you know what makes that one question so powerful? It doesn't accuse. It doesn't attack. It simply asks, if I saw what you've been doing, would it hurt me? So that's it. If she ain't doing nothing wrong, that question won't scare her. If she's been loyal, faithful, honest, she'll be cool. But if she hasn't, the panic will show up real quick. And you ain't even got to argue. You ain't even got to fight. Just ask the question and let her reaction tell the story. Sometimes people show you who they are when you stop talking and start listening. Not just to their words, but to their response, to their silence, to their shift in energy. That's where the truth lives. Not in what they say, but in what they can't say. And let me just leave this in your spirit. Don't be afraid to ask a hard question. Be afraid of wasting years with someone who can't give you a straight answer. One question, y'all. That's all it takes. Ask it and listen closely. Let me tell you something real important, and I want you to lean in on this one. When you ask that one question, if I had your phone for 24 hours, would anything on it break my heart? The real answer ain't always in what she says. It's in how she says it. It's in the reaction. The reaction is the truth. See, folks can rehearse words, they can lie with their mouths, they can say what you want to hear, but the body, the face, the tone, that stuff don't lie. That's instinct. That's the soul reacting before the brain catches up. And if someone's doing dirt behind your back, their first reaction will show you everything you need to know, because guilt ain't good at acting calm. You ask that question and she suddenly gets loud, starts yelling. Why are you even asking me that? Oh, now she's offended? Now she's acting like you the bad guy? That's called deflection. That's when someone flips the heat back onto you to avoid taking any responsibility. That ain't a confident woman defending her truth. That's someone panicking and trying to change the narrative fast. Now, maybe she doesn't get loud. Maybe she just goes real quiet. That silence, that let me think of what to say moment, that nervous laugh, that sudden change in mood from love to coldness in seconds, that's not peace, man. That's calculation. She's weighing her next move, trying to figure out how to dodge the question without setting off more alarms. But see, that moment, that exact pause is everything. That's where the truth lives. You just got to be paying attention. Look, man, you ever catch a kid with crumbs on their face and ask, did you eat the cookies? If they didn't, they say no, instantly, with confidence. But if they did, they pause, they stutter, they look away. Adults ain't no different. When somebody's guilty, their body talks before their mouth does. You don't even need to go digging, just pay attention. Watch the eyes. If she can't hold eye contact with you when you ask something that real, there's a reason. If she crosses her arms, backs up, or starts looking at her phone or the TV like she ain't listening, that's avoidance. That's someone trying to escape the moment, not face it. You think there's coincidence? Nah, brother. That's instinctive defense. And then there's the laughers. The ones that go, oh my God, you're so paranoid, or you watch too many TikToks. That kind of laughter, that's a shield. That's not joy. That's fear dressed up like humor. You ever seen somebody laugh when they're nervous in a job interview? It's the same thing. That ain't confidence. That's panic in disguise. Let me tell you a secret. The reaction always tells the story. That reaction is coming from the heart. It's unfiltered. It's raw. If she's telling the truth, she won't flinch. She might be confused. She might even be a little offended, but her energy will be steady. Her tone will stay soft. She won't feel the need to protect herself because there's nothing to protect. But if she's lying, her whole demeanor going to shift. Now, I know some of y'all hear this and think, Steve, people get defensive sometimes even when they're innocent. And yeah, that's true. But there's a difference between someone who's surprised and someone who's exposed. A surprised woman might ask, where's this coming from? Why do you feel that way? That's an opening for conversation. That's someone who cares about the relationship. But an exposed woman, she don't ask questions, she makes accusations. You must be cheating too if you think like that. That's projection. And projection, that's guilt's best friend. Let me be clear. It ain't your job to be a mind reader. You ain't got to be a psychic or an FBI agent. All you got to do is ask the right question and watch. Don't interrupt. Don't explain. Just sit back, look her in the eyes, and observe. We spend too much time listening to people's words and not enough time reading the room. People tell on themselves all the time with their face, with their energy, with their nervous little habits. You just got to be calm enough to catch it. So when you ask that one question, don't rush to talk. Be still. Listen. Watch her tone. Watch her movement. Watch her comfort level. That reaction is the real answer every single time. Let me tell y'all something about guilt. It's a loud emotion. It don't sit still. It don't stay quiet. Guilt got a way of showing up even when somebody's trying their hardest to keep it hidden. And the number one way guilt shows up, through defensiveness. Not through silence, not through honesty, but through them walls people build when they know they're wrong but don't want to be caught. Now let's say you ask that one question, if I had your phone for 24 hours, would anything on it break my heart? A woman who's solid, a woman who's honest and loyal, She gonna look you in the eye and say, no, baby, I ain't hiding nothing. She might be surprised. She might ask why you're asking, but her tone, her spirit, it stays calm. Because truth don't panic. But now, when a woman's got guilt, real guilt, that truth starts cracking through the surface. She'll get defensive real quick. Her voice gets sharp. Her mood flips like a light switch. Why are you asking me that? What, you don't trust me now? You must be the one doing something if you think I am. Oh, now she flipping it on you? Come on, man. That ain't love talking. That's guilt fighting to stay hidden. Defensiveness is one of guilt's favorite outfits. You think someone's mad at you for asking a question, but really, they're mad at themselves for getting caught in a lie they weren't ready to face. That's why they come at you hard. It ain't about you. It's about their conscience. It's heavy and it's burning them up inside. You just lit a match by asking the question. See, when someone's clean, they don't need to defend themselves like that. Think about it. If you didn't do something, you wouldn't be worried about being blamed. You wouldn't be on edge. You wouldn't feel the need to attack. That kind of calm only comes from truth. But when you got something to hide, that guilt starts making your nerves twitch. And when nerves twitch, mouths move too fast. And people say stuff that don't match what they claim they're about. And here's the thing, guilt and defensiveness don't always come loud. Sometimes it comes quiet, but heavy. You ask that question and suddenly she can't look you in the eye. She starts fidgeting, she walks off, she gets real sarcastic. That whatever attitude, that ain't confidence. That's cover up. That's a woman who just stepped into a room she didn't want to be in. That ain't someone standing in truth. That's someone hiding behind emotion. Now I want you to understand something real deep. When someone's guilty, they're not just defending what they did. They're defending the image they built of themselves in your eyes. See, once you start asking real questions, that mask they wear in the relationship starts slipping. And that's scary. Because guilty people don't just fear judgment, they fear exposure. They fear losing the version of themselves they tricked you into loving. So what do? They defend, they distract, they get emotional, they attack. I can't believe you'd even think that of me. That ain't sadness. That's a strategy. It's emotional manipulation dressed up like hurt feelings. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes people do feel misunderstood. But there's a big difference between someone hurt because they're innocent and someone angry because they got caught slipping. Let me break it down with something simple. If your house clean and somebody says, mind if I take a look around? You don't panic. You say, go ahead, do your thing. But if your house is messy and you got stuff you don't want nobody to see, you're going to say, why are you snooping? Why are you judging? Same thing with people. If they live in right, they don't fear inspection. But if they got dirt under the rug, best believe they're going to throw a fit if you even hint at lifting the corner. Well, I don't think it's just about phones and cheating. This applies to everything in relationships. Honesty, money, conversations, habits. Guilt always finds a way to fight back when it's exposed. And the number one tool it uses is defensiveness. Not reason, not truth, but a wall, a shield, a counterattack. So when someone gets extra defensive after you calmly ask a fair, honest question, don't ignore that. Don't let the volume of their response drown out the message behind it. The louder the reaction, the heavier the guilt. And if you pay attention, if you stay calm and just observe, you'll see everything you need to know in how hard they try to convince you they're clean instead of just being clean. Let me tell you something plain and simple. If you don't have trust, you don't have nothing. I don't care how fine she is, how good she cooks, how great the chemistry is. If you can't trust her, it's just a matter of time before that relationship crashes and burns. See, love without trust is like a car without gas. It might look good sitting in the driveway, but it ain't going nowhere. Now, I know some folks think they can live in a relationship where they're always second-guessing, always wondering where's she at, who she texted, why she acting different. Man, that ain't love. That's emotional warfare. That's waking up every day and playing detective when you're supposed to be waking up in peace. You know when it gets real? It gets real when you start asking yourself questions like, if I didn't ask her this, will she ever tell me the truth? That right there, that's when the trust is already broken. Whether you admit it or not, you don't ask those kinds of questions in a healthy relationship, because in a healthy relationship, the truth walks in the door before the lie even thinks about knocking. And let's talk about something real. If you ever get to the point where you got to ask, if I had your phone for 24 hours, would anything on it break my heart? You're not just asking about a phone. You're asking about transparency, about loyalty, about respect. That question is not just about what's on the screen, it's about what's in her heart. And if she gets offended that you ask, that ain't love, that's ego. That's someone more worried about being questioned than being accountable. Listen to me, trust is the foundation. You can't build no relationship on fear, on guessing games, on paranoia. Trust is what lets you sleep at night. Trust is what lets you breathe easy when they go out with their friends. Trust is what makes you feel safe. And if you don't feel safe emotionally, then what are you even doing there? Let me make this real for you. Imagine you buy a brand new house, beautiful on the outside, fancy furniture, marble countertops, the whole thing. But every time it rains, water starts leaking through the roof. And when you try to patch it up, more leaks pop up. Now, you can keep throwing buckets around, or you can face the truth. The roof is bad, and that means the whole house is at risk. That's what it's like being in a relationship with no trust. It might look perfect on the outside, but every time life gets messy, the cracks start showing. And let me tell you something else. Some of y'all stay in relationships because you hope the trust will come back. You say stuff like, she didn't mean it, or maybe I'm overthinking. Nah, man, don't gaslight yourself. If you're constantly feeling uncertain, if your spirit feels unsettled, if you got to do mental gymnastics just to believe her words, you already know what time it is. Your heart knows when it's not safe. And here's what hurts the most. When you give someone your trust and they break it, it don't just damage the relationship, it damages you. It makes you question your worth. It makes you doubt your own instincts. And worst of all, it can mess up how you show up for the next person who actually deserves your trust. That's why protecting your peace ain't selfish, it's survival. But don't get me wrong, trust can be rebuilt, but it takes effort. It takes consistency, honesty, vulnerability, and time. But here's the truth. Some folks don't want to rebuild trust. They just want you to forget they broke it. And that right there is the problem. You can't heal something you ain't even willing to acknowledge. So when you ask that one question and her reaction rattles your spirit, don't ignore that. That question is more than a trap. It's a truth test. It's about whether or not the person you love has been honest behind your back. If the trust ain't there, then what are y'all really doing? Playing house? Posting cute pictures for Instagram? Come on now, you deserve more than fake peace. You deserve real love. The kind that don't require passwords, panic, or pretend. Trust is everything. Without it, love is just a performance.